YouTube's working. Okay, you're ready to go.
Thank you, Tony. Good morning, everyone. This is a meeting of the city's capital committee. Today is April 4th, 2025. We have a couple of follow-ups from our meeting on Tuesday. And if I could, I will share my screen on a couple of items. Yeah, I don't see Noel on this morning, but the question was about can you see all that? Should I expand on this? There was a question about the telecom project, and we got some updates from the comptroller's office on what the outstanding balances were. There was $2.6 million in ARPA, 2.5 million of that was expended, leaving and with 145,000 of that currently encumbered and zero available to encumber there. And on the capital fund side, there was 2.7 million of the original project budget, 1.4 million of that had been expended, and 1.3 million that is encumbered with a $0 available to encumber, $0 left to encumber from that pot. So and the final piece of this was to be the 800,000, which is what you have in your exhibits for FY26, and so that would theoretically complete that project funding. So that was one item of follow-up. And then I'm going to go back to the exhibits. Let's see. I know Alderwoman Schweitzer. I don't know, Rich, how you want to handle this, but there was some discussion about Alderwoman Schweitzer was going to be looking towards putting some ward capital towards the Greenway extension, and then perhaps we'd have some funds there. So I don't know, Rich, did you want to go in and then we can hear from Alderwoman Schweitzer on that?
Yes, we have two items that have amendments under the road and bridge fuel tax item. The first is, you mentioned, Paul, which is the Christie Boulevard Greenway extension, which was in for $120,000 under that fund. Both Alderwoman Schweitzer and Alderman Oldenburg have split that funding, and they are going to pay for that from ward capital. And so then that 120,000 is suggested to be moved up to the River to Pear Improvements Project. And then there's one other change, and that is under the Cass Avenue improvements for 500,000. Alderman Aldridge contacted me yesterday after he watched the Capital Committee and saw Alderman Schweitzer and Alderman Oldenburg step in on one, and he asked if he could do the same. So he would like to put 250,000 of his ward capital towards Cass Avenue. So that would make that project 250,000. And then we would also take that 250,000 and put it as well, recommended, towards River to Pear improvements. So River to Pear Boulevard improvements would then have 655,000 in it. 20,000 of that would be used for the right of way, and then the other 635,000 would be applied towards the construction funding that we will need in FY27, which is $3,440,000. So that 635,000 would be removed from that amount that we would have to seek in FY27 for the construction of River to Pear Boulevard. So I'll stop there, and if Alderwoman Schweitzer has any comments or any questions for me.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you all being flexible, and that's so wonderful that Alderman Aldridge was able to use his money too. I think we're all just determined to get as many projects done as quickly as possible with the funds available. So I appreciate the creativity. I can certainly say that to the River to Pear project, that is a crucial project for the entirety of the region. That is used so regularly, and the quicker that the city can meet its match obligations and that project can be, underway and funded and moving, the happier people are going to be in the entirety of South City. That's for sure. So I appreciate that is as the direction for the funds to go. It's a crucial project. I think we've all seen the news about the city kind of getting blasted for how it looks and what's going on there. So, being proactive, I think, is really important here. So, thank you so much for those suggestions. I'm in full support of everything you just said.
And just to add on to that comment about River to Pear, also please keep in mind that the safety of our traveling public on that project is critical. And so we need to do these improvements for all of those things for a substandard road that has been substandard for many, many years. And there are a number of critical accidents that happen along there where vehicles wind up actually in the River to Pear itself. And there have also been some fatalities. So it is a critical regional project, as Alderwoman Schweitzer indicated.
Yeah, and I will add that I think it's commendable that we've got some older people contributing to some of those projects as well. Alderwoman Schweitzer and Alderman Aldridge. I think that's sort of a way of expanding the reach of the limited dollars we have. So that's great. And so thank you for that amendment. So are there any other questions? Oh, there's Noel. He's got his hand raised. Go ahead.
Hey, good morning, everyone, and certainly appreciate the aldermanic commitments as well, and thank you for this follow-up. Going back to the telecommunications upgrade, I know that the original budget for that was anticipated to be 5.2 million. It looks like we've appropriated 5.4 million, and they've certainly spent a big chunk of that, which is why they're now coming back for 800,000 more, which would bring the total budget to 6.2 million. Do we know how far along they are in replacing the kind of old copper telecommunications lines with this kind of secondary Ethernet network, and how I'd like to get some clarity essentially on what the total budget is going to be, and if there are going to be any additional needs, because what we are doing here is replacing the old telecommunication system with now duplicating essentially our Ethernet system. So want to understand what that total need will be.
Well, the 800,000 in this year's budget, and I don't know, Leonard, you can contribute if you have more detailed information. Be sure to just let me know. But the 800,000 in this year's request we actually presented this at last year's capital budget. This was the update provided by Judy Armstrong, which you all have. It identified the upgrade to the Lexar voice services in the downtown campus, identified the buildings, said what the funding was year to date through the ARPA and capital funds, and identified this was last year when they presented this, and that going forward in the FY26 there would be a request for $800,000 to complete the project. And so that's what was presented that last year. I know they've been working in the building because they've been working through our office, and it's while we're trying to get budget done, there have been ladders and things going through here. So I don't know, other than more specific than that, unless Leonard has something to add.
Yeah,
that's what we have.
Paul,
But this is
Paul, I'll thank you for the opportunity. Mr. Ferfer, they have been working diligently with the installation of the new system at 1130 Olive Street. City Hall has probably been the biggest project because of all the number of offices over there. They have not got to 1520 yet that I do know of, but they have been strategically planning this out for quite some time, and they have made considerable progress in the installation of the new system. Now, I think your question is, why is there an Ethernet upgrade? Is that your question?
Well, frankly, we're at 1520, and knowing that this hasn't been part of the project thus far, something I wanted to respectfully suggest is that we already have an Ethernet system that is capable of carrying both voice and data. And so I'm not sure that we actually need that redundant secondary system added in at 1520.
Well, I understand what you're telling me about an existing Ethernet, but let's talk about tech. If you want to go to the technology side of it, technology is always changing. And so with that being said, networks have to become updated and adapt to the new technology as well. So whereas what is probably already working effectively, but is it efficient enough to handle new traffic, bandwidth requirements? So by switching this, there will always be upgrades periodically. Although we're fine now. I mean, I was fine with it. To me as a user, I probably didn't think I needed new technology. But in essence, when you look at the overall scope of it, we have to stay current with the technology upgrades.
I totally agree. And I spoke to the city's chief technology officer this morning who indicated that the direction that the industry is going is Ethernet networks, which are capable of carrying both voice and data. And that the creation, at least in 1520, I can't speak for the entire city. There's certainly
Correct.
areas with public safety concerns where having that redundant system makes sense. But at 1520, if we can get some cost savings by carrying both voice and data on the existing Ethernet network, which again is the direction that the industry is going, that would be my respectful suggestion.
Well, when you look at database administration, database technology, data installation, it's kind of difficult to have two different networks. You can
Exactly.
operate them. You can operate them. You can, but you want compatibility among the networks. So it's not best practice to have two different networks operating. It's best to have one network where you can troubleshoot only one network at one time instead of trying to upkeep and maintain two networks. That in the long term could be even more cost heavy and cost burden.
Yeah, I think we would need to really look at the cost, the anticipated cost of installing an entirely new network into 1520 versus those additional costs of upkeep. But your point is well taken, Leonard.
Okay.
Nancy, I see your hand is raised. I heard you raise your hand but stepped off. Oh, there she is.
I need you to stay right here. Hi, sorry. I understand your concerns, Noel, but myself, Simon Wong, who is the Chief Technical Officer, and Cindy Reardon had numerous conversations with the telecom community group, the internal people and the outside people for more than one time, and this is where we ended up. And I understand you want to change something at this stage, but it seems that it's a lot late in the game to change when we're this close to completing the system to go to something that was not agreed to early on. And I understand you had separate conversations with Simon, but the administration had conversations as an organization with the telecom people, and this is where we ended up on this particular site. I don't know which part they're doing first. I thought they had already done a lot of work at 1520 because that's where we met with them when they were doing work, and now they're here. So I'm not sure changing now is going to save the kind of money that you're looking to save because we're so far down the road in the project as a whole. So.
Yeah, I just know that at 1520, I do believe that we have a system in place already that may not need to be replaced, or rather, the old copper wiring would no longer be used, but we don't need a new network system installed.
I appreciate your comments, but we will figure that out from an operational standpoint, and I hear you, and I will talk with Simon again. But the reality is we had numerous meetings with them to get to where we got to today, and that's why this is on the budget at the point that it is at this time. So
understood.
Okay. So what we have before us, it sounds like, is we need we have the exhibits for the proposed capital FY26 budget in front of us with potential 2 changes per Rich. I tell you what. So what I'd like to do is let's get something on a motion on the table to approve with some of the exhibits with some amendments. So would someone like to
I
entertain-
move to approve the exhibits with the amendments presented by Richard Bradley.
Second that emotion.
Okay, that's moved by Alderwoman Schweitzer, second by Leonard Bell. Okay, great. So if everyone understands this, the exhibits that you have before you with two amendments. One is the Boulevard Greenway extension being funded through the ward cap. And so we're moving that $120,000 to the river repair, and also $250,000 from the Cass Avenue line item being moved also to the river repair because of the Alderman Aldridge's contribution from the ward cap. So does everyone understand what we're contemplating here then?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. So it's been moved and seconded to approve that as the FY26 capital budget. Let me see. I will call the roll here. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, say nay.
Aye.
Alderwoman, yes, Schweitzer, yeah. Leonard,
Aye.
Rich,
Aye.
Christina,
Aye.
Noel,
Hi.
Tyler,
Aye.
Nancy,
Aye.
Kara, Alderwoman Spencer,
Aye.
and I'm an aye. So, did I miss anybody?
Tyler, did you miss?
Yeah, Tyler?
Aye. Yep.
I thought I heard you. Okay. Okay, very good. Is there anything else this morning for the benefit of the group? All right, well, thank you very much, everyone. I know this is sometimes a tedious process, but it's just part of the job of making a budget. So thank you, and we'll be seeing you on the other end. Thanks.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
all your work on this and everyone.